All right, so UFC 293 is finally here. When I say finally here, there's really two fights that I care about on this card. Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. It's a fun fight. Although the outcome is very likely, you never know what could happen in the UFC. And then the second fight, guaranteed fireworks. We all know what's gonna happen here. Tai Tuivasa against Alexander Volkov. It's gonna be a standing brawl. I'm looking forward to it. Regardless, the card from top to bottom isn't overly exciting unless you are like heavy into the sport. Like this is your only sport. There's just not a lot of known fighters on this card. Certainly some up and comers. The point of today's video is we're going to take Israel Adesanya against Sean Strickland and see what happens if we were to mimic a 3-fight series between the two opponents. Just a really brief coverage. If you live under a rock, yet you're still watching this video, Israel Adesanya has had an incredible UFC career. Let's quickly go over it. Dating back to 2018, Israel Adesanya beats Rob Wilkinson, and then that is pretty much the last time we're ever going to hear of Izzy fighting somebody who you may not know and I may not know. Moving on to his second fight, Marvin Vettori wins in decision. Then he beats Brad Tavares in decision, knocks out Derek Brunson. That was like his coming out party fight. Huge fight against Derek Brunson. Moving into 2019, he then beats Anderson Silva, which he's had a lot of controversial, polarizing fights when we really look back on it, but Israel Adesanya ended up beating Anderson Silva near the tail end of Anderson's career, but regardless, an entertaining fight. Kelvin Gastelum. If there was like a top 50 list, I'm thinking that this one's probably going to be in there. Maybe top 100, but regardless, this fight was the most gritty back and forth fight. Near the end, it was leaning certainly more towards Israel Adesanya, but you saw the dog in Israel Adesanya in that fight. On to the next one. He wins the title against Robert Whittaker in devastating fashion, and that's when we really see that he is the cream of the crop, Israel Adesanya. 2020, we see him fight Yoel Romero, which was probably top 100 worst fights in UFC history, okay? This is what I mean. The guy is very polarizing. He's gonna bring it for the most part, but if his opponent isn't gonna bring it, we're gonna see him lay back and he's just gonna score points and win a boring fight. And he's open to that. But regardless, moving on to the next fight, he took care of Paulo Costa, one of his easier fights of his career, lit him up in the first round, ends up beating him in the second round there. 2021, we get Jan Blachowicz beating Israel Adesanya. He tried to go up to 205, okay? But it was a close fight and Izzy fought pretty smart. Regardless, loses the fight, fights Marvin Vettori literally months later and took care of business against Marvin Vettori again. Easy win for him there. Moving on to 2022, a decision win against Robert Whittaker yet again. Beats Jared Cannonier in decision. And then this is where things get dicey for Israel Adesanya, if you can't remember. Loses to Alex Pereira in the 5th round. He was going on to win that fight. Pereira brought it in the 5th round and won it. And probably the most impressive win of his career was the comeback win against Pereira. Now, all that aside, we have a, in my opinion, weird opponent. Okay, let's just say it like that. Not because Sean Strickland is weird, but because if you look at Sean Strickland as a whole, he is not top 5, top 7 even fighters in this division, in my personal opinion. I'm not gonna look at his UFC career. He's certainly got a long career, and against names you probably won't know. And then every time he ever fought somebody worth anything, he wouldn't show up, okay? And that's just the truth. Last time, in my opinion, he beat an opponent that was a pretty good striker was Uriah Hall. And then this would have been in 2021, July 31st there. So in 2022, Pereira knocks out Sean Strickland. That's just the rise of Alex Pereira. Maybe not to Sean Strickland's fault. He's just a heavy-footed guy who stands right in front of you. What do you expect is gonna happen? Pereira knocked him out cold. Loses to Jared Cannonier. He starts fighting names. He's losing. In 2023, he ends up beating Nasurin Imavov. Okay, I'm gonna butcher these names and that's fine. It's not that these opponents aren't tough. It's just that they're not top caliber. And then he knocks out an opponent in Abbas Magomedov. Actually, that was a very impressive performance. The thing is though, again, you got an opponent who's 25-5-1, an opponent who's 12-4. Nobody knows these people, yet that's what gets him to the title. And the reason why he's fighting is because Israel Adesanya has gone through everybody leading up to this fight. Now, my prediction for this fight, I'm gonna keep it really simple. I just think that unless Sean decides to grapple, he's not gonna have a chance. And we know he's not gonna grapple. So I think he's just gonna get lit up from the start and his legs are gonna be ruined because he's so heavy-footed. Izzy's gonna ruin his legs and it's gonna be a nightmare from there. We are going to take these fighters into UFC 4, put them up against each other in a 3-fight series and see who comes out the winner.
I'm not gonna lie to you, if there is anything in this game that drives me the most crazy, it's the inaccuracy in the commentating. They are often so out of touch with what is actually going on in the fights, it drives me insane. Just listen to what Daniel Cormier says here.
These guys seem to be the mirror image of each other.
Like, the fact that he thinks that these fighters are mirror images of each other is complete blasphemy. It just shows you how behind EA is with the quality of their AI. Regardless, the first 90 seconds of this fight are actually pretty close, up until 3 minutes and 33 seconds of the first round, where Israel knocks down Strickland with a left uppercut. Now, honestly, it seemed like a miracle, but Strickland is able to recover. Now, this is where things get wild. Somehow, Strickland is able to work his submissions off his back, which is pure insanity. Considering Sean hasn't gotten a submission win since March 15th, 2014, I think that was his first fight in the UFC. Izzy manages to break free from the submission. Now, both men get extremely close to succeeding, but Izzy comes out on top. Adesanya gets the fight standing, landing some clean shots in the final minutes of the round, likely coming out the winner of round number 1. First 2 minutes of the round, Adesanya showing he's certainly the better overall striker. At about the 2:30 mark of the round, Izzy rocks Strickland with a perfectly timed kick, but Sean is able to keep Izzy off of him with a clean jab. Izzy manages to land one of the cleanest combos I've seen in a while, rocking Sean yet again. Sean somehow recovers, leading to another right hook landing, rocking Sean yet again. At this point, I'm just assuming Sean is literally going to go out. Next time he gets hit with a clean shot, it's likely that Izzy's going to come out remaining the UFC middleweight champ. 37 seconds remain, and this is where things start to get very interesting. Now, I pretty much thought at the start of this fight that unless this fight involves grappling in some way, there is no chance that Sean is going to win. Sean manages to recover, and with 20 seconds left, it looks like the round's about to end, and Sean is about to go down 2 rounds to nothing. Instead, he throws up a triangle choke, which is getting defended, but he changes his submission to an armbar. And here's where I'm extremely confused. The round ends, but Izzy manages to tap 3 seconds after the horn, and the ref decides he's seen enough, and Sean Strickland is your UFC middleweight champion. Now, let's just pause that for a second. If this actually happens, the UFC world is going to explode. The likeliness of this happening is I would say 1%, okay? It could still happen, but it's 1%, maybe even less than that. Even thinking about it, when I saw this, when I was doing this recording live, I was my jaw was literally to the floor. I could not believe the outcome of this fight. Regardless, Sean Strickland is your middleweight champ, and we are going on to fight number 2 of this 3-fight series. Here we go, fight 2, round 1. Now, let's be real, that first fight was extremely realistic, up to the point that every time it hit the mat, Sean Strickland was basically Royce Gracie. It was very realistic. I am certain that that first fight is a one-off, but I guess we'll find out. 20 seconds in, and Izzy is rocked, and I'm about to lose my... Honestly, at this point, what is happening? Okay, this is beyond unrealistic at this point. I'm kind of getting a bit annoyed. Thankfully, Izzy recovers and even manages to defend Sean's takedown. Thank God. Now, the weird thing about this fight was the first minute was extremely dominant for Strickland. Not much happens in the second minute, and then Izzy manages to rock Strickland. But Sean recovers easily. Izzy lands a massive knee, and Sean is showing some serious wear and tear. Izzy showing he's back to take over, showing off his trademark movement. Izzy finishes the round strong, likely taking round number 1 of fight number 2. In round 2, Izzy comes out with a powerful leg kick and some clean body kicks. Sean clinches and lands a hard knee. Izzy with a kick that looks like it hurt Sean and manages to knock Sean down with a Superman punch. Sean gets his takedown stuffed and gets knocked down again. This fight is now playing out extremely similar to the first one, except I'm not seeing much hope left for Sean. He's just getting lit up at this point. Sean kicks Izzy off, bringing the fight back up. Round 2 is complete dominance for Izzy, likely coming out with a 10-8 round win. Fight number 2, and Izzy's probably up 2 rounds to nothing at this point. Here we go, round 3. I've noticed at the start of this round, Strickland has taken way more of a beating, yet the stamina between both men doesn't translate. So what I'm assuming here is that although Izzy is landing more, his shots aren't as heavy. And the shots that Sean is landing are hurting Adesanya way more. That aside, under a minute into round 3, Strickland gets knocked down again. Izzy is landing countless shots. Just under 3 minutes left in the round, and out of nowhere, Sean rocks Izzy bad. Izzy gets up throwing the worst kick attempt of the fight, maybe even the worst kick attempt of his entire career. Strickland lands an overhand right and sends Izzy into anime land. Sean looked completely shocked, and I was too. 2 fights to 0. Sean is the middleweight king. Even saying that, legit, I'm scratching my neck as I say that because my neck is itchy. It makes me itch. Now, I don't know if this is possible, but if this manages to happen, it will be the greatest upset in recent memory. Valentino Shevchenko getting upset by Alexa Grasso is probably more upsetting, but let's say in men's MMA recent memory, this would top that for sure. We'll catch you next time.